It's back. Okay, so I will make a presentation about contributing to the most active open source project in GitHub. So my question is, let me introduce myself. My name is Ravaka Razafimanantsoa. I'm coming from France. I've been a webmaster and a PHP hacker since 1997. I graduated in computer science in 2009. I'm a software engineer since then. I moved to Japan in 2016, and I'm specialized in web technologies, front-end, back-end, and infrastructure as code too. Well, mainly in AWS. Okay, so my question is, does anyone knows what is the most active open source project on GitHub? Okay, so, No. So the answer is Home Assistant. Yeah, and it's been like this since 2024. Last year also, it was the most contributed project on GitHub too. So it's a 12 years old project, which started in 2013. It has over 1,155 integrations, device brands, APIs, anything you can dream of. And I contributed to two integrations. Okay, so for those, does everyone knows about Home Assistant? Okay, let me introduce Home Assistant to you then. So it's a smart home hub, like Alexa or HomeKit or Google Home, but just better. So why it is better? So it is local control first. So you don't need to rely on remote servers to control your home. And the good thing about that is that some brands want to make you pay money. I heard about some, I think the name is MyQ in America, that wanted to make you pay for opening your garage after a while. And you also have some devices that are not supported anymore, like the Creo Lock by the Creo brand, a filial of Sony, which is really famous in Japan to open your door, stopped support for their first version of the lock. So that's why local support is better, because you can keep your device until they die, not until someone wants to kill it. So you can still control things with the cloud if you want to. So it gives you more support. I think TLUG is the cheapest way to control your home, but they have a lot of cloud devices. It also has the latest version of Matter, compared to Google Home, which is like 3 or 4 versions behind. So if you see Matter, if it doesn't work on a Home Assistant, it doesn't work anywhere. You can also bypass hubs, like switchbot hubs cost between 5,000 and 17,000 yen each. And with Home Assistant, you can just pay like a small ESP32, which is $5 or a Bluetooth dongle, and you can avoid to spend that much on hubs. Plus, it works locally. You can also consume APIs. You can get weather. You can send messages for your PlayStation network. Through Telegram, you have a lot of integrations. I don't think I've seen 9 for. And you can also choose your AI of choice. You don't need to rely on Alexa Plus or Gemini to control your home. You have the choice. You can subscribe to Gemini on the side, to use OpenAI, anything works. And you can also do it locally with Oyama, if you're interested, and if you have the power to run it locally. So you can do voice control, you can chat with your home if you want to. You can also automate automation generation. I don't know if it's clear. You can make new automations using AI. You can ask, like, for instance, what can I add to my home to make it smarter? And it can look at all your history of controlling your devices and make new automations for you. Never tried this before. And you can also ask for image or video analysis, like who is at the door. You can get a text description instead of just a snapshot. You can do a lot of things. You can also change the keyword. Like with Alexa, you have to say Alexa all the time. With Google Home, you have to say, hey Google. I hope your phone is not moving now. And from HomeKit, I don't know what you have to say, but you can change the keyword. You can say Jarvis, you can say anything you want. You really have the choice. And you can also customize the dashboard. I don't know if you, like me, I have over 100 devices. So when I need to look at this list on Google Home, it takes forever to scroll down to that device. And with dashboard, with customizable dashboard, you can just show what you need when you need it. Okay? So what you can do with Home Assistant, you can make advanced automation based on your device, your position in the world, in your home, or APIs. Well, compared to the other smart home systems, you can also show different dashboards according to your position in the house world. With relevant items, you can add conditions. Like for instance, if the lights are on, I want to show a button to turn them off. We really can do everything with the dashboards in Home Assistant. You can also make strange automation depending on the way you live in your place. So usually when I brush my teeth, it means that it's the start of my day. So I want to open the curtain automatically and turn on the AC on my home office. You can also change the temperature of the light. So blue light, red light, depending on the time of the day. It seems it's good for your brain. I'm not sure about that, but everyone says that. And you can expose non-matter devices to HomeKit, Alexa, and Google Home. So you can use even more things with what you already have. Okay, so about my smart home journey, I didn't start lately. It was in 2009 when I got my first salary. I started to buy smart things at the time. And the first open source thing I used was ZoneMinder. ZoneMinder is an NVR, so it takes input from various cameras and sends you notification when something moves. And it was really complex to set up. I had to refer to maybe 3 or 4 websites to understand what kind of settings I needed for my cameras. It kind of worked, but so-so. And I also contributed to that project. After, there was a project called Sarah, which is a voice control. It was before Alexa and Google, so it was quite a new thing in France at that time. And I also contributed there. I helped to control all the lights, like my light lights or Philips Hue, using the same interface. Then I moved to Domotics, which is an open source project, but I never understood how it worked. So I kind of moved to Vera after, which is closed source. And the support ended at some point, so I had to start again from scratch. And then I found Home Assistant. And after 3 years of use, I thought it was cool, so I made some contributions there. And for cameras, I'm using Frigate now. It's a local AI-powered NVR. So you can control your camera, you can do object detection, face detection. It's really powerful. You can also recognize knives, you can recognize car plates. You can recognize a lot of stuff with that. And it's free to use too. It's open source. Okay, so my first contribution was with Switchboard Cloud. I don't understand why, but the GitHub history says I spent 12 days doing this integration, but in my memory I took over a year. So I don't know who is wrong there. I may be wrong. GitHub, I might not have pushed the code from the beginning, but it's interesting. So why I made a contribution to Home Assistant using cloud. As I said, it's not local, so it's not what everyone expects you to do. So I had like 2 kinds of devices I wanted to control. I had some Wi-Fi only smart plugs, which were only sold in Japan. It was the first generation of smart plugs from Switchboard, and they were Wi-Fi only. And you can also use your hubs to control your IR devices, so ACs, TV, fans. And I just wanted to do that from Home Assistant instead of opening the app and using it. So yeah, so just wanted to use what I got before. So it wasn't easy. You got many challenges to do that. The first thing is Home Assistant is 12 years old with a lot of integrations inside. So how I started was I read all the documentation, developer documentation, but still didn't know what to do because it's not going in depth enough to help you understand what you really need to implement there. So I say, okay, I will do like any new project I start. I look around in other integrations to know how they do these kind of things. And the integration I looked at were really old. So it was not state of art anymore. So when I pushed my code for review, I've been told almost to change everything. Yeah. So if you start in a new big project, be cautious of the merged dates so that you only use the latest code to inspire yourself. Okay. Next challenge. Well, I'm a software engineer. I'm doing unit tests all the time, but I'm not really used to do integration tests because they're a little bit more complex to implement. Well, you need new tools I didn't know about, so that's fine. That's what a developer does all the time. But for integration tests, you need to understand the whole sequence of events, not just your code. You need to understand everything around to be able to make them. So it was more difficult to do. So it took me a little bit of time, and at that time, the LLMs were not a thing yet, or it was really bad, so I couldn't use them to generate the tests. So I had to do it myself. Okay, so after 12 days or 1 year, depending on who you are referring to, now the SwitchBot cloud integration is used by 1.7% of all Home Assistant integrations, which means about 9,000 users, which is more than Lifex. I don't know if you know Lifex. It's a smart bulb brand. The PlayStation integration or IKEA Tradfree, which is the IKEA smart home brand from IKEA. I don't know if it's nice. Since then, because there was a SwitchBot Bluetooth integration, now the cloud integration, SwitchBot became interested in Home Assistant and became a partner in the Work with Home Assistant program. Now, I don't maintain the integration anymore. It's maintained by SwitchBot employees, which is nice for me. But one thing I still don't understand is that some people use this integration to control Bluetooth-able devices. So they rather use cloud, that local control, but you're free to do anything you want because it's open. And well, being a developer for the SwitchBot cloud integration also gave me good relationship with SwitchBot, and they send me a lot of devices for free. Yeah, okay. But now you have Matter. Matter is like the future for smart homes. You can control almost everything with that. If you use SwitchBot hubs, you can share 4 devices, only 4 devices, which is really small. It means that temperature, luminosity are 2 devices already. Using the SwitchBot Mini with the Hub 2, you can share 8 devices, which still sucks. And Hub 3, you can share up to 50 devices. But as everyone say, Matter is the future, so you have a lot of things that don't work yet. Okay. So now I will talk about my participation to the B-Root Smart Meter. I don't know if any of you is using that. No? That's normal. There's only 10 users. Okay, so this one really took over 1 year to implement. And the challenges were not only code. It was something else I will explain. Okay, so it's a new territory. I'm a web developer. And to do this integration, I had to understand binary protocols over USB. So you have to understand the specs of the binary encoding, which is Econet Lite. I don't know if you heard about that. It's the main protocol for smart homes in Japan. So you can, if you're lucky, you can control your ACs, your heat pump, your shutters, a lot of things using this thing. Your fridge too. It is really a complete spec that nobody knows about. I asked a lot of people about that, like professionals in the home industry don't even know this protocol, so that's strange. So on top of that, they use a recent protocol to communicate with the smart meter, and you also need to use USB dongles. You have serial communications. Everything was new for me at that time. And so I had experience working with USB dongles with Docker because I started Home Assistant using Docker containers, so I had to use like a Zigbee USB device to control my home with that. So it was easy, but in the dev container from Home Assistant, it was more complex. Someone purposely removed the USB support there, so I had to go through all the settings to understand what I had to change. And every time I had to change one thing, I need to rebuild the whole container, which takes over 3 or 5 minutes. So when you try things around, it takes a lot of time. And because I only had one USB dongle, I still have one actually. When I plug it to production, so my actually smart home system, and I want to develop again, I need to remove it from my home, plug it into my dev machine, and I have to go back and forth, which is quite a pain. And every time I made a change, I need to rebuild the container or the code, and it took a while. Okay, so I'm a developer. I'm kind of lazy. I don't want to understand everything about Econet, binary protocol. So I started looking for a library which does all of that for me. And well, it's a Japanese thing, so you had to search for things in Japanese. You got some things in English, but everything I got was Econet Lite over IP. And I wanted Econet Lite over Reason. So it took me 2 or 3 weeks to find something, and I found some Japanese-only library called Momonga, which was perfect. It was Econet Lite over Reason and in Python, because Home Assistant is written in Python there. So one thing I noticed when looking for a library to use for the integration is that everyone was saying that you had to do some manual connection to your USB dongle to send some command. And I was wondering, if I ask people, like normal people, to do that, will they be able to do this kind of command? And I thought, no. So I wonder why the manufacturers were saying that we needed to send this kind of command. So I contacted them by mail. And the result was that the onboard memory in the USB dongle sucks. So you cannot write it many times. So if you need to write it, you just need to check the flag to avoid writing it for nothing. Then I implemented all this flag checking and flag switching inside the integration. And I've been told, no, that's not how Home Assistant works. You need to put that inside the library. So I contacted the library author and asked if it was okay to do it. And he was happy that someone was using his library because he was the only one using it before. And I got the change done. So I could use that integration inside Home Assistant after. Yeah. And other challenges was, it took me 13 months to develop this integration. So by that time, a lot of things changed. Like they had more requirements, more documentation, a checklist of things to do. So it took me a little bit more time. And when I was thinking I was done, they wanted to have a logo for the integration, because it's cool to have a logo, right? You know what you are using. And Home Assistant thought that they could use the Econet Lite logo as fair use, which is quite common abroad. But in Japan, I thought it was maybe different. So I had to contact the Econet Lite consortium to know if it was okay to use their logo. And they say, no, you had to pay. So now if you use this integration, you don't have a logo. Okay, so now there's 10 users. Well, last time I checked, there was 10 users, and I'm not part of these 10 users because I moved to a new place, and when I want to input my address, it says I'm not recognized, so I need to phone them in Japanese, and I'm scared of phoning people, and I'm scared of speaking Japanese too, so it will take a while, I think. Okay, so if you use this integration, you can see your home power consumption, like in a really simple graph. And if you get a little bit crazy like me with tons of smart plugs, you can see your power distribution across your home. And sometimes you can find some untracked consumption, which makes you wonder where is your money going. And I didn't find it yet. I don't know why I'm spending like maybe 1/4 of my electricity to something I don't know about. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So most of the work I did was without AI. So before AI, you had to read documentation, read source code, do everything by yourself, try again and try again. But with AI, you can now generate tests easily. You can generate some code you can work on easily. But you still need to understand what you need to do, because otherwise it looks like it works, but it might not work. And with AI, I think it's a really useful tool, but sometimes the code that gets generated doesn't help. Yeah, so you have to be cautious with that. Okay, so when you start working with a really big active project, you need to check recent merges, not the code you just found nearby. You need to be conscious, you need to know that standard may change all the time, so you need to try to be up to date with things. Well, otherwise the reviewer will tell you what you need to change. Integration tests require you to understand the whole system, not only your code. So it's a bit more complex to do. And AI helps, but it doesn't replace you yet. I hope it doesn't replace us at all. Okay. And for the process of contributing to open source, you need a lot of motivation, but you need even more persistence because they will ask you to change a lot of things. And you also need the will to ask things to manufacturers, library authors, to your reviewer too, to help you. And everything will be working in the end. Okay, so why contribute? Well, you can help people, like just maybe half an hour ago, Brian told me, thank you for making the Beirut integration. And you also have like 9,000 people using the Switchbot Cloud integration, so I think it's quite a nice thing to do. Well, you also have an active community, so you can ask questions in, what's the name, Discord. You can also get free stuff, which is always nice. And you can feel great to say that you've been participating to the most active open source project on GitHub for 2 years now. Okay, but one thing you need to be to know about is that it will take longer than what you expect. They don't expect your code to work. They also need some standards in the way you do things. And you will lose motivation because the more time you get your review rejected, you will lose motivation. It's fine. You can wait for 1 month, try again, and in the end it will work. That's why it took 13 months for the Beirut integration. And well, things will change also when you do this kind of thing. Okay. So if you're interested in Home Assistant and you want to contribute, you have many ways to do it. You don't need to write code. You can also report bugs. So that's something you should think that if it doesn't work, you can just report the bug. Don't just complain to yourself, it doesn't work, that sucks. You can just say nicely that you have an issue and how you got the issue. If you can write code, you can contribute to the code. You can also help other users, so explain how to set things. You can also help with the translation. There's no, how do you say, translation maintenance in Japanese right now. So if you are native in Japanese, if you can participate to the translation, it would be nice. Because I think if you set Home Assistant in Japanese, you have like maybe 1/4 of the UI which is still in English. And you can also give your voice to help for recognition. Because the way you say Home Assistant in French, Home Assistant in French, in English, sorry, backwards. Home Assistant in English, Home Assistant in French, doesn't match the way you say Home Assistante in Japanese. So we need a lot of samples to be able to recognize, well, pronunciation all around the world. So you don't need to do it only in Japanese. If you're coming from other countries, they might need your help too. Okay, okay, well, just a little bit more about me. I'm blogging about Home Assistant. I have a blog called Smart Home Labo if you're interested. I also made a page about Home Assistant resources in Japan. So if you can read Japanese or if you just want blogs in English, you can go to homeassistant.jp to find more information about Home Assistant. And you also have the official website too, which will give you a lot of information too, but only in English. Any questions about how to contribute or about Home Assistant in general?
Sorry, maybe a bit of a basic question, but I'm thinking to maybe get started in using Home Assistant to maybe automate things like my lights and my air conditioner.
Yeah.
How do what would be like the best piece of hardware way to connect those infrared devices to the Home Assistant? Where should I start for that sort of stuff?
With Home Assistant, you have a lot of solutions to do that. So for your AC, you need to check if it's Econet Light compatible first. If it's Econet Light compatible first, you have a custom integration called Econet Light, which will do exactly what you want. And if it's not Econet Light, you can use infrared. And in Japan, the only device I know that can control infrared devices is the Switchbot hubs. Some integrations will help you to control your AC. And for lights, it depends. You also have some lights which are Econet Light compatible. And if it's not Econet Light compatible, you can, if it just bulbs, you can buy the brand you want, like Philips Hue, you can buy IKEA, you can buy anything you want and just find the integration that works with that. And if you have your own home with downlights, it will be more complicated. You need to do some underground things like open your switch and put some relays behind, which is not authorized in Japan. You have to call an electrician to do that. And the relays also are not sourceable in Japan. You can find them in Japan. So you need to do something which is non-PSC, non-GitHub, and it should work. Yeah.
Thank you.
And the Econet protocol is through the power wire, or how do
It's working over Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Well, besides the smart meter thing, it works on Wi-Fi, and the smart meter works on WISN on WISN. So it's a different protocol. It's quite long range. Yeah. Any other question? Okay. Thank you very much for your time.